Hello? Beep, 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 beep. Welcome to the court of the Edijester. How are we, good people? Nice to see you, speak to you, be with you, etc., etc. First off, a thanks to everyone who's supporting me. If you can, please do subscribe to my Substack. It's the easiest way to support me, or buy me a coffee. Alternatively, you can become a warrior teacher. We've got the next start date is going to be November. So I'm looking at that at the moment. Details will be up in the next week or so. This is a serious one. So I think it's important that the message gets out there what's going on, because it's quite niche, but it's got a real serious edge to it. And I think it's important that we understand what is happening and how dangerous this insidious gender nonsense, this insidious be kind, critical social justice, blah, 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 inclusive nonsense is, and how it can infiltrate places it shouldn't be in at all. So here's an example of that I've got from The Telegraph, which is written by Lucy Barton, their employment editor. And it does, as I say, it seems niche because it's to do with the law. But thankfully, one of the hard hitters, Naomi, is on this. But I think it's something that you ought to know about at the very least, just so you can see how far this can go. And the headline runs, female barristers rebel against crackdown on unfashionable views, that's in speech marks, amid trans tensions. Under the proposals, barristers would be punished if they do not act in a way that advances equality, diversity and inclusion. So let me give you that key sentence again, and then perhaps take a second to think about it. Barristers would be punished if they do not act in a way that advances equality, diversity and inclusion. Now, equality, diversity and inclusion is a hard left, neoliberal, totalitarian and authoritarian belief system that is being forced upon people in this country. This is in the law. So there's ramifications that, if you think carefully about the ramifications, could be enormous from this. The Legal Feminist. Now, Legal Feminists have been with us a long time. They have a forum, and they've also got a Twitter presence. I'll put all the links, as usual, downstairs in the doobries. These are thinking people, thinking women. The Legal Feminist, a forum to discuss feminist issues in the legal system, is preferring to fight back against proposals from the industry regulator, which could see barristers punished if they fail to act in a way which advances equality, diversity and inclusion. Notice the choice of words there. Advances. Moves forward with the agenda of totalitarian and authoritarian hard left neoliberal thinking. Barrister Naomi Cumming, but by the way, this doesn't just affect women barristers, but this particular article is talking about the actions of Legal Feminist. Barrister Naomi Cunningham, who specialises in discrimination, said she fears the vagueness of a new proposal from the Bar Standards Board. That's the BSB, is the Bar Standards Board. Paves the way for arbitrary enforcement, meaning barristers with unpopular or unfashionable views get excluded. That's exactly what it's designed to do, Naomi. We're aware of this, or I am certainly. The Bar Standards Board, which regulates the profession, is consulting on the plans which, if enforced, could leave barristers who breach the rules facing penalties, such as fines, suspensions, or a ban. The Legal Feminists are working on a consultation response. I think it's fair to say we're unimpressed. This looks like an extraordinary land grab by our regulator and assault both on rule of law and, ironically, on diversity, Ms Cunningham said, because diversity of thought is the last thing in their mind. Not Naomi, the Fruit Loops at the Bar Standards people. That's the last thing on their mind is diversity of thought. Bear that in mind. Again, totalitarian, authoritarian, critical social justice. EDI is their chosen Trojan horse. EDI. Miss Cunningham said there were concerns the proposal was so woolly that it could mean anyone who disagrees. God, the temptation to say there'll be a mammoth mistake on the back of that. No, don't do it, Barry, don't do it. I won't. Right. We're so woolly that it could mean anyone who disagrees with the belief that people can have different genders to their biological sex will be accused of failing to create an inclusive environment and therefore breaking the code. That's just one example there from Naomi about gender. What happens when you don't agree with critical race theory? What are they going to do to you then? Or queer theory? What are they going to do with you then? See how big this gets? Many people who subscribe to gender identity beliefs take the view that any dissent from that belief is inherently hateful and disrespectful to people with a trans identity, she said. Well, Naomi is a far more measured and calm individual than I, with a fantastic legal mind that has been used a number of times by GC people and has led to some fantastic results, as well as appearances in things such as the Scottish Parliament. A real thinker. And she's kinder than I am. There's no such thing as a trans identity. I would just say that the descent from the belief is inherently hateful and respectable to people who are deluded and unwell, is what I would say. We don't know what they mean by act in a way that advances equality, diversity, and inclusion. And there you go with this fluffy definition there from the Bar Standards Board, which is designed to stay fluffy. It's designed to sound like one thing, but actually it's something else entirely, which means they can expand the definition or shrink the definition as they think is appropriate. Again, totalitarian, authoritarian in its nature. The group of female barristers fears that the core duty might be relied on to enforce compliance with preferred pronouns. That's where it'll start. Remember, pronouns are rohypnol. In a variety of situations, attacking barristers' freedom of expression, she added. The proposed duty would not force barristers to represent clients whose own views are thought to advance equality, diversity, and inclusion. It would only mean that barristers manage their practice in a way that does so. A Bar Standards Board spokesman confirmed, adding that enforcement would be a last resort and the profession would be given time to adapt. There you go. Change or we're coming for you. This is totalitarian, authoritarian. We've got a Fruit Loop somewhere. Naomi, if any of the legal feminists know somebody at the Bar Standards Board that wants to go in my Fruit Loop bowl, now would be a time to let me know, because they've got one. At least one. Fruit Loop. Somebody's driving this. Which nut job is it? Please let me know. Back to the serious bit. However, the potential change comes with growing concerns that workplace inclusion policies are punishing anyone with different views rather than improving diversity. I've said it before, I say it again. Businesses have no business telling people what to think. None. It's nothing to do with businesses or with public sector bodies. Barrister Alison Bailey of the Stonewall fight, you remember Alison, a great fighter and warrior there, lost her job when she told colleagues that Charity Stonewall was involved in harassment, intimidation and threats against those who opposed its views on transgender issues. Her employer was later ordered to pay her 20 grand in costs for unreasonable conduct. Fran Itkoff, a 90-year-old woman from California who had volunteered for a multiple sclerosis charity for more than 60 years, was also told earlier this year that her services were no longer required after she told a colleague she didn't understand why she needed to add the pronoun she, her to her email signature. The National Multiple Sclerosis Society confirmed at the time that she was asked to step away from her role because of statements that were viewed as not aligning with our policy of inclusion. There's how it works. Right, so EDI comes in. Wouldn't it be nice if we're nice to everybody? Let's make everybody equal. Let's tolerate. Let's respect everyone. I don't respect anybody. I hate everyone equally. I hate you all. Tolerance is all we get. Yeah. So this is very important, and I think it's important that you engage with it. So if you could go and read the article, which as usual is in the Dubras, and then perhaps take a look on Twitter on some of the things that are being said by legal feminists and others in regards to how dangerous this is. I imagine that other lawyers will be getting involved. Elliot, I presume Elliot Hammer will be there somewhere. Others that are involved in the legal world will be able to add some more insight to this and also ensure that the Bar Standard Board isn't allowed to get away with this. Now, if you do know who the Fruit Loop is on the Bar Standards Board, let me know. And then we'll see what we can find out about that Fruit Loop and see if he's in the same league or she's in the same league as Mr. Pablo Anosbum, or whatever his name was, that other idiot with the glasses that looks like something from Monster Inc., and the other people that we've currently got in our Fruit Loop bowl. So I would like to know, who's the Fruit Loop at the BSB? Who's running this? Somewhere hiding in their little EDI cave, there's a Fruit Loop, I'll guarantee it. Anyway, that's enough from me. Go and read, go and understand. This is an important one. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.